All right. So you guys are going to have a 3-question quiz tomorrow on verifying trig identities. The identities that are going to be fair game that you should be familiar with, and hopefully you guys don't use your cheat sheet notes to do this, um, because the expectation you guys get a little more familiar with this so you can kind of be like, oh, I can just do the substitution, is you should be familiar with the reciprocal, the even odd, the Pythagorean, and the quotient identities that I've been working with for the last couple, I guess for last week actually, right? So with those 3 problems, I'm going to ask you to record yourself working through one of them. And let me explain what I'm looking for in the video. I need to see you explain why are you doing what you are doing? Like, what is the vision that you hope to accomplish with every step that you do? And I need you to identify any identities that you are using as you use them. So, I don't know about you, but that seems very vague. So, I thought I would give you an example of what I'm looking for so you can model your video off of this. So, keeping in mind that I have to explain kind of what am I doing and what do I hope to accomplish, as well as what identities I am using as I'm working through each step. Let me show you. So in this problem, I have cosine to the fourth of x minus a sine to the fourth of x is supposed to equal a cosine squared of x minus a sine squared of x. So by looking at this, I want to mess with the left side. I don't see the need to mess with the right side, but I could. So here's what I can do. I'm going to go ahead and factor the left side. Since I have a cosine raised to the fourth power of x and a sine raised to the fourth power of x and they're being subtracted, that's a difference of squares factoring pattern. So if I can factor that real quick, I think I can see where the cosine square, the sine squared is going to come from. But if not, then um, let's see if I can work with what I have. So by factoring this, I'm just rewriting this into an equivalent expression. All right, so the difference of square pattern just means take the square root of each of the factors I have. And that should equal my right side of the equation, which is just a cosine squared of x minus a sine squared of x. Right? I haven't used any identities yet. All I've done is just rewrite. So I did that because now I can see that on both the left and the right side, I have a cosine squared of x minus a sine squared of x. So I feel like I'm on the right track. However, I need to figure out what to do with that cosine squared plus that sine squared that's in the second set of parentheses on the left side. I'm going to go ahead and use my Pythagorean identity because I know that sine squared of x plus cosine squared of x should equal 1. So that means I can replace this with 1 and end up with cosine squared of x minus sine squared of x gets multiplied by that 1, because that's what the second parentheses reduces down to, equals equals cosine squared of x minus sine squared of x. And so through that substitution, I know multiplying something by a 1 essentially doesn't change it. So as a result, I end up proving that the left side has to be equal to the right side. And that's it for my video. So if you notice there, there are explanations in terms of why I chose to rewrite every step, and sort of developing and showing the vision that I'm seeing for how this can solve. And if you're not comfortable with, like, I don't know, Mr. Rodriguez, a lot of these I've just kind of been guessing with and hoping that it works out. All right, well then just give me your inner thoughts. Why are you planning to solve it that way? What is your gut instinct telling you that you might be able to do? Because that's all the vision is, just your gut instinct and maybe some of the stuff playing out in your head as you're trying to work through it. Um, Notice that I referenced the identity and I noted which one I'm using. If you're planning on using one of the rewritten Pythagorean identities, then that's fine. Just make it clear that if, I wanted to take this, but talk like I wanted to talk about how I wanted to replace the sine squared of x, then I could say, well, that's just 1 minus cosine squared of x, right? And say that it just comes from a Pythagorean identity. Yeah, I hope this helps. And again, once I'm done grading these, you guys will have a week to make corrections and resubmit if you want to get a better grade on it. Good luck.